Hey guys, today is National Adoption Day, and National Adoption Day is actually a day that hundreds of thousands of kids across the United States who are being adopted through the foster care system get adopted on the same day. And the folks at National Adoption Day wanted me to share our Adoption Day story, having adopted from the foster care system as well, so I thought that I would do that. So our first child, Jafta, was adopted through the foster care system. It was a really long and trying process. Jafta came into our home as a foster child at age 6 months, and we were under the impression that it was a fast-track adoption, meaning that it was pretty clear that he was destined for adoption rather than reunification. The reunification services with his birth parents had been terminated due to some details that I don't usually share, but needless to say, it looked like we were on track to a pretty quick adoption, and that's what we were really hoping for. And as the months wore on, we quickly realized that there was a lot going on with his case, and it ended up taking 3 years before we could legally adopt Jafta, and that was a very fraught 3 years. It was really stressful. There were times when we weren't sure we would be able to adopt him. There were times that relatives emerged but then didn't follow through. There were times that birth family members came out and appealed the court's decision for him to be adopted by us, and then didn't follow through. There were just a number of really heart-wrenching things that happened. So we literally been waiting for this adoption day for 3 years, waiting and praying for this day to come. So when the day finally came, it was surreal. It was especially surreal because it was held at the same courthouse where we had so many meetings about Jafta's fate before. So this was the same courthouse where I had a social worker tell me that the case looked like a train wreck. This was the same courthouse where another social worker has said to me that our case looked like the movie Losing Isaiah. It was a place that, honestly, I had some PTSD about this building, even going into this building. It was the place where so many times we'd shown up thinking that there was going to be a court date for our son, only to be told, oh, the social worker didn't call you. We don't have court today. That was tabled for next month. It was the place where, I have a sense memory of being in that bathroom before and after almost every court meeting, concerned that I was going to throw up and looking into that toilet. This building held a lot of memories. So to walk into that building, and instead of being alone with my husband, like we had been so many other times, we were there with pretty much all of our family and friends. We invited everybody to join us for this date. We were so excited, and it was just such a different experience to be there with all of our friends and family, for Jeff to be with us because we never took him previously. It would have been too stressful. And he was blissfully unaware of all of the goings-ons. He knew himself as a member of our family and as our son. But just to go there and know that this was the end of this long journey, and just to stand and raise our hand and agree that he would be our son, was something that we had just waited so long to do, and it was just really beautiful to finally have closure and finally have a judge affirm what we had known in our hearts for years, that he was a member of our family. So, that's my emotional memory of Adoption Day, and that day made every bit of stress over those 3 years completely worth it. So, adoption is a beautiful thing, and an Adoption Day is every bit as beautiful as, the experience of childbirth. And I hope that more people will consider adoption and consider especially adopting from the foster care system, because there's so many waiting kids who need a family.